The youngest human, Eli, stared out of the viewport of the starship Aurora. Beyond the glass stretched the swirling colors of Xylaris, a planet both beautiful and intimidating. It had oceans that shimmered with light he had never seen on Earth and forests taller than any skyscraper. Eli's heart raced with excitement and fear. At just 12 years old, he was the youngest human ever sent on a mission of interstellar diplomacy. The responsibility weighed heavily on him, but he felt ready. Eli had always been different. While other children spent their time playing games, he spent hours learning about physics, mathematics, and alien cultures through holographic simulators. His mind was sharp, curious, and fearless, qualities that the Human Council had noticed when they selected him. Now, as the Aurora descended through Xylaris' atmosphere, Eli's mind raced with questions. What would the aliens look like? Would they understand him? Would they even accept a human, let alone one so young? The ship landed on a platform made of a crystalline material that reflected the sky in hues of violet and gold. As the doors opened, a rush of warm, fragrant air welcomed Eli and the human delegation. Standing before them was a figure that made even the most experienced diplomats pause. The alien queen, Thalira, towered above everyone else, her skin a soft silver with faint patterns that shimmered when she moved. Her eyes were deep violet, filled with intelligence, curiosity, and something harder to understand: interest. She wore robes that seemed to float around her, glowing faintly with light that pulsed in rhythm with her calm breath. Eli stepped forward, trying not to show his nervousness. He bowed slightly, a gesture he had practiced many times. Thalira observed him quietly, her expression unreadable. "You are human," she said, her voice smooth like a river over stones. "And you are very young." Eli nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty. I am Eli. I've come to learn about your world and share knowledge from mine." The alien queen's gaze lingered on him longer than anyone else. In that moment, Eli felt as if she could see every thought in his mind. It was both frightening and thrilling. He had never felt such scrutiny, yet he did not shrink. Instead, he straightened his back and met her gaze. "Very well," Thalira said finally. "You may observe our world. But understand this, young human. Xylaris is not like Earth. You will face challenges that test not only your mind but your courage." Eli swallowed hard, but nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I am ready." The alien queen did not respond immediately. Instead, she motioned to a nearby council chamber, where elders, scholars, and warriors of Xylaris had gathered. The humans followed, noticing how the alien environment was unlike anything they had imagined. Crystalline structures stretched into the sky, and creatures of various shapes moved gracefully around the courtyards, some flying, some gliding on large tendrils. Inside the council chamber, Thalira addressed her advisors. "Observe the human," she said, pointing at Eli. "He is not just a child. He carries something remarkable within him." Murmurs spread through the council. The aliens were known for their intelligence and caution, but few had ever seen such interest in a human, especially one so young. Eli's human escort. Commander Harris whispered, "Stay calm. Eli, let them see your courage and your mind." Eli nodded silently. He knew that courage was not about fearlessness, but about standing firm even when afraid. Over the next few hours, Thalira led Eli and the delegation through Xylaris. They visited the great libraries filled with holographic scrolls of knowledge, some older than the oldest human city. They observed training grounds where young alien warriors practiced with skill and precision that amazed even Eli. He asked questions, absorbing every detail, drawing comparisons with human methods and technology. Thalira watched him carefully. It was unusual for a human to show such understanding and adaptability. She had seen many species come and go, but humans were often impulsive and fragile. Eli, however, seemed different. There was a spark in his mind, a combination of curiosity, courage, and cleverness that reminded her of the greatest leaders of her own kind. Later, in a private hall, Thalira invited Eli to try a challenge. "This is a test," she said, holding a small floating cube that glowed faintly. "You must solve it using your mind and your instincts. Fail, and you will face consequences. Succeed, and you will earn my respect." Eli studied the cube. It was not just a puzzle. It seemed alive, changing its shape and glowing in response to his touch. He took a deep breath and began experimenting, using logic, observation, and trial and error. The cube twisted, turned, and emitted faint lights responding to his understanding. After what felt like hours, though it had only been minutes, the cube finally opened, revealing a small crystal inside. Thalira's eyes widened slightly. "Impressive," she said. "Few of my kind have solved this." Eli felt a rush of pride but kept his expression calm. "Thank you, Your Majesty." For the first time, Thalira smiled faintly. "You are more than a human child. You are remarkable. I will make sure the Council knows your abilities. You will not be dismissed as weak or unworthy." Word of Eli's success spread quickly. Warriors, scholars, and even young aliens came to see him. Some were curious, some skeptical, but all could not deny the intelligence and courage the human boy displayed. Eli, despite his age, began to feel a strange sense of belonging. He was learning more than he could have imagined, not just about alien technology, but about strategy, observation, and leadership. That evening, Thalira called her council together. "I have observed the human," she said, her voice calm but firm. "He is young, yes, but he possesses qualities that we value most: courage, intelligence, and adaptability. I declare that he will be mine." The statement shocked everyone. A human, and a child at that, being claimed by the alien queen was unheard of. Whispers filled the chamber, questions and doubt spreading among the council. Commander Harris stepped forward, speaking cautiously. "Your Majesty, he is only 12. He is not ready for—" Thalira held up her hand, silencing him. "This is not about age. It is about potential. Eli represents something greater than himself. He will be a bridge between humans and Xylaris. He will learn from us, and we will learn from him." Eli felt a mixture of awe and confusion. He had expected challenges, but not such a declaration. He realized that being chosen by the alien queen was more than honor. It was responsibility. He was young, yes, but now he was part of something larger than anything he had imagined. A chance to shape the future of two worlds. That night, Eli lay in the guest quarters of Thalira's palace, staring out at the glowing forests of Xylaris. He thought about Earth, his parents, and the friends he had left behind. Yet he also felt a spark of determination. He was young, yes, but he had been chosen. And now he would prove that humans, even the youngest humans, could rise to meet challenges that no one else thought possible. As he drifted to sleep, the last thought in his mind was not fear, but wonder. The alien queen had declared that he would be hers, and that declaration was not about possession. It was about recognition, trust, and potential. Tomorrow would bring challenges, tests, and lessons unlike any he had faced, but Eli felt ready. He was the youngest human, but perhaps in that very youth lay a strength that could change the galaxy. Outside, in the observation hall, Thalira stood alone, watching the stars. She whispered softly, almost to herself, "The youngest human, he will teach us more than we know. And perhaps he will change everything." The adventure had only just begun. The next morning, Eli woke to the soft hum of the palace around him. The crystalline walls reflected the first light of Xylaris' sun, casting colors across the room that shifted like liquid. He rubbed his eyes, remembering the previous day, the alien queen's declaration that he would be hers. He was still unsure what that truly meant. But one thing was clear: he was no ordinary visitor. Thalira appeared at the door, her robes flowing as if the air itself respected her presence. "Eli," she said, "today you will begin your first lessons in the ways of Xylaris. You will learn not only knowledge, but also the responsibilities of wisdom, courage, and leadership." Eli nodded eagerly. "I'm ready, Your Majesty." "Good," she replied. "Follow me." They walked through a vast corridor lined with floating panels that displayed histories of the galaxy, maps of distant stars, and holographic images of alien civilizations. The sheer scale of it left Eli awestruck. "This is incredible," he murmured. "I've never seen so much knowledge in one place." Thalira glanced at him, a faint smile forming on her lips. "Knowledge is only valuable if you can use it wisely," she said. "You will be tested in ways that your people may never imagine." Their first stop was the Hall of Trials, a vast chamber where young aliens honed their skills in strategy, problem-solving, and physical agility. The walls were lined with floating platforms, moving obstacles, and puzzles that required both mental and physical skill. "Your first challenge," Thalira announced, "is to navigate the labyrinth of light. It tests perception, logic, and courage. Many of our adults struggle to complete it. Let us see what a human child can do." Eli's heart beat faster. He had trained his mind in simulations, but real-world trials were different. He stepped forward, determined not to show fear. The labyrinth was a maze of shifting walls that glowed softly, with paths that changed based on the decisions of those inside. Floating orbs emitted light patterns that acted as clues, but missteps could lead to dead ends or traps. He observed carefully, noting patterns, and slowly moved forward. Each turn required him to think quickly, but he also used instincts honed from hours of puzzle solving and logical games. At one point, a section of the floor shifted beneath him, threatening to drop him into a pit of harmless but dizzying holographic illusions. Eli paused, calculated the timing, and jumped onto a moving platform just in time. Watching from above, Thalira's eyes gleamed with interest. Few aliens had ever moved through the labyrinth with such careful observation and confidence. Hours seemed to pass in minutes. Eli faced puzzles that tested memory, riddles that tested reasoning, and physical challenges that tested balance and agility. And yet he persevered. When he finally reached the center, a small platform rose carrying a crystal that pulsed with light. He held it high. Thalira's voice echoed through the chamber. Remarkable. The human child has succeeded where most adults fail. Eli felt a surge of pride, but he knew this was only the beginning. "Thank you, Your Majesty," he said, bowing. After the labyrinth, Thalira led him to the council gardens, a serene area filled with alien plants that glowed faintly. Some of the plants moved gently, sensing presence and responding to touch. Young aliens were learning from elders here, observing diplomacy and etiquette. "You will now learn how we communicate and lead," Thalira said. "Diplomacy is as important as strength or intelligence. Without it, even the most capable cannot protect their people." Eli listened carefully as alien children and their mentors demonstrated debates, discussions, and cooperative problem-solving exercises. He was amazed at how advanced their methods were, yet he realized that his human perspective could add new ideas. When asked, he suggested small changes that improved the outcomes of their exercises. Thalira nodded, clearly impressed. "You think differently. That is your greatest strength. Humans do not follow the same patterns as Xylarians. Sometimes that difference is exactly what is needed." Later, while walking through the gardens, Eli noticed two young aliens watching him from a distance. One had soft green skin and long, delicate fingers. The other had pale blue scales and curious eyes. They seemed hesitant but intrigued. "Hello," Eli said, stepping closer. "I'm Eli. What are your names?" The green-skinned one stepped forward. "I am Leora," she said. "And this is Kale. You are—" "Unusual," Eli laughed softly. "I guess humans are unusual to you. But I think you are unusual too, in a good way." Leora smiled shyly. "We've never seen a human before. You think differently, and yet you understand us." Kale nodded. "And you are brave." "The labyrinth. Most adults fail, yet you succeeded." Eli felt warmth in his chest. Despite being far from home, these young aliens were beginning to see him not as an outsider, but as a friend. "Maybe we can learn from each other," he said. Their conversation was interrupted as a sudden alarm rang through the gardens. Floating lights flashed red, signaling an intrusion in the outer palace grounds. Thalira's voice commanded calm. "Stay here," she said, leading adult warriors toward the source. Eli watched, feeling a mixture of fear and fascination. Minutes later, the queen returned, her face calm but her eyes sharper. "It was a minor threat," she said. "A faction that doubts my decisions attempted to test the palace defenses. They will not try again soon." "But you observed, did you not, Eli?" Eli nodded. "Yes, it was intense. But I noticed how your guards moved, how they communicated silently. I think I understand some of your strategies." Thalira's gaze softened. "You are observant, Eli. Most humans would panic, but you adapt. That is why I declared you as mine, not as a child to protect, but as one whose mind has value. You will influence more than you know." The rest of the day passed with lessons in alien history, technology, and philosophy. Eli absorbed everything, asking questions, proposing ideas, and sometimes offering solutions that even impressed Thalira's council. As night fell, Eli sat in the palace balcony, looking at the twin moons of Xylaris. Leora and Kale joined him, sitting quietly. "Do you ever feel scared?" Leora asked softly. Eli thought for a moment. "Yes," he admitted. "But fear is not weakness. It tells you something matters. Courage is moving forward even when you are afraid." Kale smiled. "Humans are strange, but—" "Good strange," Eli laughed. I guess that's a compliment. From afar, Thalira watched them. Her violet eyes reflected the moon's. The youngest human, she whispered. He may be small in years, but he carries the future of more than one world. Eli had learned much that day, but he also realized how much more there was to face. The palace, the council, even the aliens themselves, all held challenges that would test not only his mind, but his heart and courage. And yet he felt ready. He was young, yes, but his determination had never been stronger. As he closed his eyes that night, he imagined a future where humans and Xylarians could understand each other, learn from each other, and create a bond that no one had ever thought possible. And in that vision, he saw himself standing beside Thalira, not as a child, but as a symbol of what humanity could achieve. Courage, intelligence, and heart, no matter the size or age. The morning light of Xylaris bathed the palace in shades of violet and gold, but Eli's mind was restless. Word had come from the Galactic Council, rumors of concern about his presence on Xylaris. Some factions feared a human could disrupt the delicate balance of power. For Eli, it was both thrilling and daunting. He was just 12, yet already, the galaxy's politics touched him directly. Thalira entered his chamber without warning, her flowing robes brushing the floor. Eli, she said, her violet eyes serious, there are forces outside these walls that doubt your worth. They see humans as weak. Others see them as dangerous. You will face scrutiny, and you must prove your intelligence and courage. Eli nodded. I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best. Thalira studied him for a moment, then smiled faintly. Good. Let today be another test, not of strength, but of wisdom and perception. She led Eli to a vast chamber called the Arena of Decisions. It was a circular space glowing faintly from crystals embedded in the floor. Holographic projections of alien cities, fleets, and natural disasters floated above the ground. The arena was designed to simulate complex scenarios requiring strategy, negotiation, and quick thinking. Your challenge, Thalira explained, is to resolve a crisis using observation, logic, and leadership. Many of my adults fail, not because they are unintelligent, but because they are rigid. Flexibility is key. Eli stepped forward, analyzing the projections. He saw a holographic alien city under threat from a simulated natural disaster, a massive storm moving quickly. He noticed that some holographic citizens were trapped while others were panicked, moving in ways that risked injury. Eli took a deep breath and began making decisions. He instructed the projections to reroute resources, guiding evacuation pathways and prioritizing the most vulnerable areas. He coordinated the holographic citizens using logic-based patterns, predicting movements and preventing chaos. Slowly, the city stabilized. Even Thalira's most seasoned advisors had rarely handled the simulation with such precision. When Eli finished, Thalira's eyes were alight. Remarkable, she said. You think differently. You see the patterns others miss. That is why I declared you as mine. You are not weak, nor are you ordinary. You are a human who can challenge the impossible. Eli felt pride, but also a sense of responsibility. He realized that intelligence alone was not enough. He had to consider ethics, care for others, and practical solutions. That understanding, he knew, was what made him different from most species, human or alien. After the simulation, Thalira took Eli to a smaller room where alien scholars and warriors had gathered. They wanted to observe him, curious about what humans could do. Eli was introduced to new concepts of diplomacy, including how to mediate disputes without violence, how to foresee consequences, and how to communicate across cultures. He offered solutions that were unconventional but effective. For instance, he suggested forming temporary alliances between rival groups to solve problems quickly, a method uncommon in Xylaris but successful in his simulations. The aliens were impressed. Some whispered among themselves, questioning how such a young human could possess wisdom beyond his years. During a break, Eli wandered into the palace gardens, still glowing faintly under the light of Xylaris's twin moons. He saw Leora and Kale again, practicing skills with other young aliens. They waved him over. You handled the simulation very well, Kale said, his eyes curious. Even our elders struggle with that. Eli smiled. It's not just about solving problems. You have to understand the people involved and care about the outcome. That makes all the difference, Leora nodded slowly. Humans, you are strange, but good strange. Their laughter was interrupted by a sudden alert from the palace. Red lights flashed and an alarm echoed through the halls. "Another intrusion," the Lyra said, appearing beside them without warning. "This time it is not a test, it is a challenge from those who oppose my judgment. They wish to seize you." Eli's heart pounded, but he stayed calm. The Lyra led him to a secure observation room, showing holographic projections of intruders approaching the palace. Unlike the first time, these were trained warriors using cloaking devices and coordinated strategies. "Observe and learn," the Lyra instructed. "You will understand the value of strategy and alliances." Eli watched carefully, noting patterns in their movements, weaknesses in their coordination, and opportunities to counter their approach. He suggested subtle modifications to the palace's defense systems, ways to create distractions, reroute intruders, and protect the less defended areas. When the simulated attack began, the human council followed his suggestions, and the intruders were neutralized quickly, without injury. Even the alien queen's advisors were amazed at how a child human could grasp strategy so quickly. "You see, Eli," the Lyra said afterward, her voice calm but firm, "it is not always strength or technology that wins battles. Sometimes intelligence, observation, and courage are far more powerful. That is why you are important. You are not only a human, you are a symbol of what humanity can achieve." The young aliens, Leora and Kale, watched him with awe.
"He is incredible," Leora whispered.
"Even adults cannot think like that," Eli smiled. "I've learned a lot from you too. You have skills and traditions I never imagined. That's why it works. Together, we are stronger." That evening, Thalira brought Eli to a private chamber high above the palace. The view of Zelaris was breathtaking. Forests that glowed softly, rivers that reflected the twin moons, and cities that shimmered with alien lights. "You have done well today," she said, her tone almost maternal. "You have shown courage, intelligence, and compassion. These are qualities that many adults in the galaxy lack, and yet you are only 12. Eli looked at her, feeling both proud and humbled. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I just try to do what I think is right." The Lyra nodded. "That is exactly why I declared you mine. Not in the sense of possession, but in recognition. You are part of this world now and part of its future. You will influence more than you realize." Eli's thoughts drifted to Earth, to his parents and his human friends. He wondered what they would think if they could see him now, a young human navigating the politics, strategy, and challenges of a galaxy far beyond Earth. And yet, he felt ready. He was learning not only about Xylaris, but also about the potential humans held, even when the odds seemed impossible. As he lay in bed that night, Eli thought about the challenges that awaited him. Rival factions, political intrigue, and alien skepticism, all would test him. But he now understood something important. Strength was not only physical, courage was not only bravery, intelligence was not only knowledge. True strength was a combination of mind, heart, and determination. And in that moment he realized that being the youngest human did not make him weak. It made him unique. It made him capable of things that others could not imagine. From her observation balcony, Thalira watched Eli sleep, her violet eyes reflecting the moons. "The youngest human," she whispered. "He will change more than he knows, and perhaps he will teach us something we thought we already understood." Eli's journey was far from over. Challenges awaited him that would test his limits in ways he could not yet see. But he was no longer afraid. He had already faced the labyrinth, the simulations, and the scrutiny of alien warriors. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, but he would face them with courage, intelligence, and heart, the qualities that had already begun to set him apart in a galaxy full of marvels. And for the first time, Eli understood the true meaning of Thalira's declaration. Being hers was not about control. It was about recognition, respect, and opportunity. He had been chosen not because he was the youngest, but because he was capable of greatness. The stars of Xylaris shone brightly above, and Eli felt a quiet determination settle in his chest. He was ready for whatever came next. The days on Xylaris passed in a blur of learning and discovery for Eli. With each sunrise, he found himself more confident in navigating the alien world. What had once seemed overwhelming, the palace, the council, the strange customs, now felt like a place where he could contribute. The Lyra observed him closely, noting how quickly he adapted. "Eli," she said one morning, You have learned to think like an Xylarian, but you have not lost your human perspective. That is rare. You are beginning to influence this world whether you realize it or not. Eli blinked in surprise. Influence me? Thalira smiled softly. Yes, watch carefully today. The council has gathered to discuss a dispute over resource allocation between two districts. Humans often solve problems differently. Let us see how your ideas might help. He followed her into the council chamber where alien leaders stood in tense debate. Holographic maps hovered above a central table, showing areas of farmland, water supplies, and energy nodes. The two factions were arguing over which resources should be prioritized, each unwilling to compromise. Eli listened carefully. He had learned that in conflict, understanding both sides was crucial. He stepped forward. "Excuse me," he said, "may I offer a suggestion?" The chamber fell silent. A human child had never spoken during such discussions. Thalira nodded. "Go ahead, Eli." He studied the maps and proposed a temporary sharing plan. Allocate resources proportionally for a trial period. Monitor results. Adjust based on needs and efficiency. This way both sides benefit and no one suffers. Murmurs rippled through the council. The idea was simple but practical. A few leaders looked skeptical, but others nodded. After a brief discussion, the factions agreed to try Eli's suggestion. Thalira's eyes gleamed. "See? Humans think differently, yet effectively. That is why you are important. You are already changing perceptions of your species." Later, Eli walked through the palace gardens with Leora and Kale. They watched him interact with alien scholars, offering ideas, solving minor disputes, and suggesting improvements in technology. "You're incredible," Kale whispered. "Even our elders listen to you," Eli shrugged. "I just try to use what I know and think carefully." "That's all," Leora looked thoughtful. "But you are so young. How can you see things others cannot?" Eli smiled. "Sometimes being young helps. You notice things adults miss because they assume they know everything." The young aliens laughed, but Eli's words struck a chord. For the first time, he felt that his age was not a weakness, but a unique strength. That afternoon, Thalira brought Eli to the Workshop of Innovations, a massive hall filled with alien machinery, tools, and devices he had never seen. Some were used for energy generation, others for communication, and still others for exploration. "You will create something here," Thalira instructed. "Use your human knowledge and imagination to improve our technology." Even small changes can make a great difference. Eli's eyes widened. He had studied engineering and physics extensively, but working with Xylarian devices was a challenge. He began analyzing the machines, noting areas where efficiency could be improved. He suggested adjustments to energy flow, communication protocols, and even minor design modifications. To the surprise of many alien engineers, his ideas worked. Machines ran smoother, communications became clearer, and energy efficiency improved. Some engineers whispered among themselves, impressed by the human child's insight. Thalira watched silently, a faint smile on her lips. "See? You influence not only politics but also technology. Humans may be small, but your mind is immense." Later, Eli was invited to a ceremony honoring young Xylarians who had completed advanced training. He was nervous. He had never attended anything like this before. Yet as Thalira presented him to the crowd, the applause was not mocking but respectful. Eli realized that the alien children admired him, seeing a bridge between their world and his own. During the ceremony, a small challenge arose. A projection representing a sudden natural disturbance, a simulated storm, appeared, threatening a model city. The alien trainees hesitated, unsure how to respond. Eli quickly analyzed the situation, guiding the young aliens to take effective actions. Together, they stabilized the city. The crowd erupted in approval. Leora and Kale clapped enthusiastically. "You are amazing," Leora whispered. Eli smiled. "We did it together." That evening, Thalira invited Eli to the palace balcony. The twin moons of Xylaris hung low in the sky, reflecting off the crystalline forests. The view was breathtaking, but Thalira's tone was serious. "Eli, you have done more than impress me. You have begun to inspire my people. They are seeing humanity in a new light because of you." Eli's stomach tightened. "Me? Really?" "Yes," Thalira said. "Your courage, intelligence, and compassion shine through. You have shown that even a young human can contribute to a world far beyond your own, and that is why I declared you as mine. You are not just a child, you are a symbol. Eli felt a mix of pride and humility. Being a symbol was daunting, but he also understood that it was an opportunity. He had a chance to shape perceptions, to prove that humans were capable and to build bonds between species. The following days brought new challenges. Eli mediated disputes between alien children, advised engineers on technological improvements, and participated in simulations of emergency scenarios. Each task was demanding, but he faced them with determination. His youth, once seen as a limitation, became an advantage. He noticed details others overlooked, offered fresh solutions, and inspired collaboration. One evening, while walking through the palace gardens, Eli overheard whispers from a group of young aliens. "They say humans are weak," one said. "But that child, he is different." Leora and Kale nodded. "He is teaching us that strength is not just physical. It is intelligence, courage, and heart." Eli smiled quietly to himself. For the first time, he felt that he truly belonged in this alien world, not as an outsider, but as a valued member who could make a difference. Later, Thalira called Eli to a private chamber filled with holographic displays of Xylaris' cities, resources, and future plans. "Eli," she said, "your influence is growing. You are helping Xylaris adapt, improve, and innovate. And yet there are still challenges. Not all will welcome change, and some may test your courage." Eli nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will do my best." Thalira smiled faintly. "That is all I ask. Remember, you are not just the youngest human. You are the bridge between worlds. Your ideas, your courage, and your heart are what will shape the future." That night, Eli lay in bed reflecting on all he had learned. The challenges had been greater than anything he had imagined, yet he had overcome them. He realized that influence was not about commanding others, but about showing example, offering solutions, and inspiring trust. From her observation chamber, Thalira watched the young human sleep. "He may be small in age," she whispered, "but his potential is limitless. He will change more than this world, and perhaps he will change the galaxy." Eli's journey was far from over. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, political intrigue, technological trials, and tests of courage. But he now understood something vital. True strength was not measured by age or size, but by intelligence, determination, and heart. And in that understanding, Eli knew he was ready for whatever came next. He was the youngest human, yes, but he was also a force capable of inspiring change, building alliances, and proving that even one small human could have a big impact in a galaxy full of wonders. The sun of Xylaris rose slowly, casting a soft violet light across the crystalline palace. Eli stood on the balcony watching the city below. The past weeks had been a whirlwind of challenges, lessons, and discoveries. He had faced trials that tested his mind, courage, and heart. And now, he felt a new sense of purpose settle within him. Thalira appeared beside him, her robes flowing like liquid light. "Eli," she said, her voice calm but full of warmth, "you have grown beyond what I expected. Not only have you learned from us, but you have taught us more than any adult ever could." Eli turned to her, blinking in surprise. "Taught you? I just tried to do my best." Thalira's violet eyes sparkled. "That is exactly what I mean. Your human perspective, your courage, your heart, they have inspired change even in my advisors. You have shown that age and size are not measures of value. Even the youngest human can make a difference." Eli felt a surge of pride. Being recognized by the alien queen herself was beyond anything he could have imagined. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I want to help and I want to learn." Thalira placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You have done both. And now it is time for the greatest lesson yet. Not one of puzzles or simulations, but of leadership and responsibility." She led Eli to the Grand Council Hall, where leaders, scholars, and warriors had gathered. The chamber shimmered with light from the crystalline walls, and holographic displays hovered above, showing maps of cities, energy flows, and trade routes. "There is unrest in a distant region," Thalira began. "A group disputes the council's decisions. They are skilled and determined. You will travel with our emissaries to mediate this conflict. Your task is to bring resolution without force, using your wisdom, courage, and heart." Eli swallowed hard. He had faced simulations and challenges within the palace, but this was real. Lives, resources, and trust depended on his judgment. Yet he also felt ready. He had learned much, adapted quickly, and gained confidence. The journey to the distant region took hours. Eli observed the alien emissaries carefully, noting their methods of communication, negotiation, and strategy. He learned when to speak, when to listen, and how to show understanding. When they arrived, the disputes were evident. Holographic projections of the region's resources highlighted conflicts over water, energy, and trade routes. The local leaders were tense, unwilling to compromise, and suspicious of humans. Eli took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Greetings," he said respectfully. "I am Eli, a human from Earth. I have come to listen, understand, and find a solution that benefits all." The leaders exchanged glances, surprised that a child would speak with such confidence. Eli listened carefully to their concerns, asked thoughtful questions, and proposed solutions that were fair and practical. He suggested temporary resource-sharing plans, cooperation in trade, and monitoring of outcomes to ensure no one suffered. Slowly, tension eased. The leaders saw that Eli's ideas were not imposed but collaborative. He spoke with honesty and clarity, earning their respect. After hours of discussion, agreements were reached and the region began to stabilize. Thalera, observing from nearby, nodded approvingly. "You see, Eli? Leadership is not about power, but about understanding and guiding others. Courage, intelligence, and heart, these are the tools of a true leader." Eli smiled, feeling a sense of accomplishment. He had faced fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and had prevailed. Not with strength alone, but with wisdom and empathy. The journey back to the palace was quiet. Eli reflected on all he had experienced: the labyrinth, simulations, council decisions, and now real-world diplomacy. Each challenge had shaped him, teaching lessons that no classroom could provide. When they arrived, the palace was preparing for a celebration. Thalera had called it a ceremony to honor Eli's contributions. Even the young aliens, Leora and Kale, had prepared gifts of appreciation, small crystals that glowed softly, carved with symbols representing courage and intelligence. In the grand hall, Eli was presented before the council and citizens of Xylaris. Thalera spoke with pride. "Eli, the youngest human, has shown us the potential of your species. He has brought wisdom, courage, and heart to our world. Let this day mark the beginning of a new era of understanding between Xylaris and Earth." Eli felt a warmth in his chest as applause echoed through the hall. For the first time, he understood the full meaning of Thalera's declaration that he would be hers. It was not about possession, but about recognition, respect, and a shared destiny. Leora stepped forward, offering her gift. "Eli, you have taught us that age does not define ability. You are a true friend," Kyle added. "And you have inspired us to think differently, to try new solutions. Thank you." Eli accepted the gifts humbly. "Thank you. But it was all of us together. I learned from you, too." That night, Thalera invited Eli to the palace balcony once more. The twin moons hung low, reflecting off the glowing forests and rivers. The city below sparkled like a constellation come to life. "You have done more than I expected," Thalera said softly. "You have influenced our society, our technology, and our perspective on humanity. You are not just a visitor. You are part of our world." Eli looked at her, realizing the weight of her words. "I never imagined I could make such a difference," he admitted. "You have always had the potential," she replied. "I only gave you the opportunity, and you seized it. That is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary." Eli's mind reflected on everything he had learned. Courage was not absence of fear. Intelligence was not knowledge alone. Leadership was not about control, but about understanding and guiding others. And heart was what inspired trust, loyalty, and cooperation. He realized that even though he was the youngest human, he had already achieved what many adults could not. He had changed perceptions, solved problems, and inspired hope. Thalera watched him quietly, then spoke again. "Eli, you have proven that humans, no matter their age, can rise to meet challenges that seem impossible. You are a bridge between worlds, and because of that I declare that you are not only mine in recognition, but also a partner in shaping the future of Xylaris." Eli's eyes widened. "Partner?" he asked. "Yes," Thalera said. "You have earned a place among us, not as a visitor, but as someone whose mind, courage, and heart will influence our world. Your youth is not a limitation. It is a gift." Eli felt a surge of pride and responsibility. He had come as the youngest human, uncertain and nervous, but he would leave as a symbol of humanity's potential, an example that intelligence, courage, and heart could overcome age, size, and fear. In the following weeks, Eli continued to work with Thalira and the Council. He helped implement improvements in technology, guided diplomacy between regions, and inspired young aliens to think differently. His presence encouraged collaboration, creativity, and mutual respect between humans and Xylarians. And through it all, Eli never forgot his own humanity. He remained humble, curious, and eager to learn. He understood that true strength came not from power alone, but from compassion, intelligence, and courage. The galaxy beyond Xylaris held many unknowns, but Eli felt ready. He had faced challenges that no human child had ever faced, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident. He had proven that age was not a limitation, and that even the youngest human could shape the future of a world far beyond Earth. From her observation balcony, Thalira watched Eli interact with both humans and Xylarians. Her violet eyes reflected pride and hope. "The youngest human," she whispered. "He has shown us what humanity is capable of, and perhaps through him the galaxy will learn as well." Eli, standing beside her, looked out at the horizon. He thought of Earth, of the people he had left behind, and of the adventures yet to come. He knew that challenges would continue, but he now understood that courage, intelligence, and heart could overcome even the greatest obstacles. He was the youngest human, yes, but in his mind, in his actions, and in the respect he had earned, he was also one of the greatest. And thus, Eli's journey on Xylaris marked the beginning of a new era, a time when humans and aliens could learn from each other, grow together, and face the galaxy not as separate species, but as partners united by courage, intelligence, and heart. The stars of Xylaris shone brightly above, and Eli knew that his story was only the beginning.